There were 6 votes in it in the end. Reform from the very outset had said that this was a by-election that they were going to win.
Pensioners are better off because of that triple lock. We have had to take those tough decisions. We're putting money into the NHS.
Yes, we're talking about the 16th safest seat in the whole of the country, and you've lost.
People want change, stammered Labour's chair Ellie Reeves as Nick Ferrari skewered her on live radio. But not the change Labour was hoping for. In what was once their 16th safest seat in the country, Labour just suffered a humiliating defeat to Reform UK. Watch as Reeves melts down in real time when confronted with the brutal reality of voters' true feelings about Keir Starmer's party. Before we move on, I'd like to ask you a small favour. If you appreciate this content, please take a second to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Over 98% of you watch the videos without subscribing. It costs you nothing, but it makes a huge difference to us. So, did you click the subscribe button? Great, thank you so much. Now, back to the video. What happens when a political party takes its voters for granted? Labour just found out the hard way in what was supposed to be an impenetrable fortress. This constituency wasn't just a Labour stronghold, it was their 16th safest seat in the entire country. The party entered this by-election with the typical swagger of assumed victory, barely bothering with a robust campaign strategy, because, well, why would they need one?
Incumbent governments tend not to do well in parliamentary by-elections, and this was obviously taking place in very difficult circumstances following.
You are in a situation now where this by-election, six votes may have made the difference.
The results sent shockwaves through Westminster. Reform UK didn't just challenge Labour, they conquered them in what observers are calling the closest result in British political history. The numbers tell a story of spectacular complacency meeting political reality head-on. Labour's mighty majority crumbled as Reform UK secured victory in a constituency that was never supposed to be competitive. The voter demographics in this area have been shifting gradually for years, but Labour seemed oblivious to the changing tides.
The resignation of the former Labour MP on a platform of change. And look, I recognise that people are impatient for change.
Working class voters who once formed Labour's base have increasingly felt abandoned by a party they perceive as more interested in metropolitan issues than their everyday concerns. Reform UK noticed this vulnerability and exploited it masterfully. Their campaign strategy targeted disillusioned Labour voters with precision. Rather than trying to win over everyone, Reform UK spoke directly to those feeling left behind, emphasising immigration concerns, cost of living issues, and straightforward talking points that resonated with local residents. They positioned themselves as the authentic voice of working people, a mantle Labour once wore with pride. Public opinion polling had been sounding alarm bells about growing frustration with Labour's performance since taking power, but the warnings went unheeded. Satisfaction ratings have plummeted as voters watch the gap widen between Labour's grandiose campaign promises and their actual delivery in government. The list of policy failures and broken promises that fueled voter dissatisfaction continues to grow. From backtracking on £28 billion green investment to watering down workers' rights legislation, Labour has repeatedly disappointed its core supporters. The immigration numbers continue rising despite promises of control, while economic hardship persists for many families.
There were 6 votes in it in the end. Reform from the very outset had said that this was a by-election that they were.
And it's those decisions that you have made, such as cutting winter fuel, which went against what people thought you were doing.
All of this explosive discontent was set to collide with Labour Party chair Ellie Reeves in a live interview that would expose just how unprepared the party was to face this new reality. Labour lost their 16th safest seat through a toxic combination of arrogance, disconnection, and failure to deliver on promises. They assumed voters had nowhere else to go and discovered those voters found an alternative. Now Labour faces an uncomfortable reality they can no longer ignore. Winning an election is one thing, but keeping voters' trust is another matter entirely. Nick Ferrari doesn't just interview politicians, he exposes them. And Ellie Reeves walked right into his trap on LBC radio following Labour's shocking by-election defeat.
Going to win, they were well ahead on the polls. In the end, it was the closest by-election result in British political history.
We had to make tough decisions when we got into government to fix the country's finances. And winter fuel was a tough decision.
The Labour Party chair arrived at the studio with the rehearsed confidence of someone ready to spin a catastrophic loss into a mere bump in the road. Her composed demeanour suggested she believed she could control the narrative with practiced talking points and political manoeuvring. But Ferrari, known for his direct questioning style that leaves politicians nowhere to hide, went straight for the jugular with a devastatingly simple opening. Why did you lose? No preamble, no softening the blow. Just a pointed question that immediately forced Reeves onto the back foot. Her response revealed just how unprepared Labour was to face the electoral reality. People want change, Reeves stammered, attempting to frame the defeat as part of some broader societal shift rather than a rejection of Labour specifically. It was a textbook attempt at political deflection that spectacularly backfired in real time.
Yes, we're talking about the 16th safest seat in the whole of the country, and you've lost.
Pensioners are better off because of that triple lock. We have had to take those tough decisions. We're putting money into the NHS.
Ferrari pounced on this contradiction with surgical precision. The change voters wanted, he pointed out, was specifically change from Labour. This devastating counter-argument exposed the fundamental flaw in her reasoning. Voters in Labour's 16th safest seat had actively rejected the party that was supposed to represent their interests. Watching Reeves squirm became increasingly uncomfortable as she desperately retreated to rehearse talking points about waiting lists being down for 6 months in a row. Statistics that felt hollow and disconnected from voters' actual concerns. Her repeated attempts to pivot to prepared statements about being impatient for change rang false when contrasted with Ferrari's direct questioning. The visible cracks in her composure told the real story. Her voice tensed, her responses became more fragmented, and the polished political veneer began to crumble under Ferrari's relentless pursuit of an honest answer. What viewers witnessed wasn't just political spin, it was the public meltdown of a party confronting its own failure. Social media erupted with reactions as the interview unfolded. Viewers commented on Reeves's inability to acknowledge the obvious. Labour had lost touch with its core voters, and no amount of prepared statements could paper over this fundamental disconnect. This interview exposed more than just one politician's inability to handle tough questioning. It revealed a party in denial about its growing disconnect from the very people it claims to represent. As Ferrari deftly demonstrated, voters weren't seeking abstract change. They were specifically rejecting Labour's leadership. This political earthquake signals something far more significant than a single by-election result. This by-election result reveals far more than a single Labour defeat. It exposes a fundamental shift in British politics, where party loyalties are crumbling before our eyes. The fact that Reform UK could win in Labour's 16th safest seat demonstrates how fragmented our political landscape has become. Labour now stands at a critical crossroads. Either genuinely listen to voters' concerns or watch as parties like Reform UK continue stealing their base by tapping into growing public frustration. The political earthquake we've witnessed won't be the last. Traditional parties can no longer take voters for granted in a system where allegiances shift with broken promises and unfulfilled expectations.